The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for attending today's session on Foxit's Unified PDF Platform for Government. My name is Dee Dee Kato. I'm the Senior Director of Marketing here at Foxit, and joining me is Frank Kettenstock, VP of Marketing. Before we get started, just a few things to cover. All the attendees are in listen-only mode, but if you have questions, we encourage you to put it in the question box there in GoToWebinar, and all the content-related questions will be addressed towards the end of the presentation. But certainly feel free to ask while we do the presentation. Before we get started, I also wanted to do a quick poll. So I just wanted to get a sense of your role within your organization, whether you're IT or whether you're a line of business or some other administrator. So it'd be great if you can just go ahead and checkbox which you are. Okay, good. Okay, so mainly end users or IT, and then mainly end users and administrators. So that's good because Frank's demo later will show kind of the end user user interface, and then we do have some IT as well. Okay, good. Thank you. And okay, so let's get into the presentation. So here's the agenda. I'm going to go over briefly the 8 kind of solution areas for government that Foxit offers. You can see just a highlight of those 8 here. And then Frank's going to he's going to show the demo of our end user productivity tool, which is our PDF editor, Phantom. And we'll go through some case studies, and then we'll talk about who we are, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. Okay. So just highlighting, the widespread governmental use of PDF. Why is it so important within government agencies? Well, PDF has a lot of advantages, right? Usually a PDF file is a read-only document that can't be altered without leaving, some other footprint, electronic footprint. And it's basically portable, right? It's designed to be transferable and shared across multiple computer systems. It's independent of hardware. You can OCR it. You can compress it. A lot of these things you can't necessarily do with TIFFs or JPEG or GIFs, other file formats. You can also insert metadata into PDFs. You can preserve it and convert it into PDFA, which is for archiving. And of course, there's lots and lots of readers out there that can read PDF documents. In addition, we know that a lot of the government agencies now have mandates, right, for archiving and for electronic content. So we have NARA that they have strategic goals and objectives broken up over the course of the next few years on how everything's going to be paperless. Right. So, for example, by FY 2020, 93% of customer requests will be ready within a proposed time for FOIAs, for example, right? The Freedom of Information Act responses, and will be provided within 20 working days. And also they track, satisfaction records, right? So a lot of that is done through making content available electronically. You need to search all that content as well. You need to make sure that all your content is text searchable. So PDF is a great way to do that. Also for PDFA, right? A means archive, right? So preserving content over an extended period of time, right? And it ensures that documents can be retrievable and rendered with the same consistency and predictability, right, in the future, right? Even though systems change and fonts change. So that's also becoming very important. And we already know that a lot of states have legislation that mandate that PDFA is required. NARA is getting more involved in the development of PDFA. And there's been just a lot of movement towards PDFA as various government agencies adopt it. So how can Foxit help? So we have basically three areas of focus for us. First of all, it's the we do have the end user productivity suite of products that includes desktop, mobile, web. You can edit your PDFs, whether you're doing mass conversions of paper to PDF. And we also have that's the second point, is the mass conversions through a server technology. And then that third bubble there is regarding development toolkits. So the first one basically is similar to Adobe Acrobat and Reader, right? It's an end user productivity tool with the same sophistication, but at much lower cost. And it's also much more user friendly because we have a Microsoft Office ribbon interface that provides navigation very similar to Office. So user adoption is not a problem. Users really like our user interface. It's very easy to use. We also have differentiators, which I'll go through the rest of the presentation, regarding security, collaboration, lots of other differentiators. Basically, it's a very powerful PDF editor, which Frank will show you later. It does include digital signing with DocuSign integration. We have RMS if you have Microsoft Active Directory or the Azure platform. We have RMS integration for protection. We have redaction. We can also create and publish fillable dynamic forms, right, with very powerful JavaScript support. So that's the end user productivity section. We also have the second bubble there is the backend server processing, right? So we call that enterprise automation. So if you have hundreds of documents, for example, in digital mailroom, they need to be scanned, mass OCR'd, automatically redacted through pattern recognition, auto tagging for 508 accessibility, mass conversions to PDF or PDFA, maybe coming from a Word doc or from email even to PDF. Then the backend server technology is what that'll provide you. And then that third bubble there is for developer solutions. And actually, Foxit started out in that market. With its, because it's high performance, there's a small footprint, it's robust with the security, and we're actually integrated in the hearts of many platforms such as Google Chrome, Google Docs, Gmail, Amazon Kindle, and we've done this in the very inception of when Foxit was created. So we have that technology available as well as within hundreds of applications. And so we actually have about 1 billion or over 1 billion people using our technology. So let's go into the first government solution, and I wanted to talk about the whole paperless solution. So we know that there's a lot of initiatives going on, because but the problem is when you scan in documents. Scan in paper, what happens? You get file sizes that are too large, text that's not searchable, text and images that aren't searchable. There's different file types, which becomes difficult to manage. And in general, it's basically just inefficient, right? So we have solutions in this area that provide automatic, OCRing and a conversion into different file formats. Also, compression is very important. You can see here that we can compress black and white files up to 1/10 of its original size. Color images as well, 50 to 100 times smaller. We can do conversions to PDFA, right? This is all through our solutions, as well as integration into larger applications. So if you have SAP, or if you have, you need integration into your Outlook to archive emails, we have all that through an on-premise web service that can provide the same functionality into your larger application or your custom workflows. So the next solution area is open government and public disclosures. So what's important here? In many cases, we find that especially for Freedom of Information Act and for other public disclosures, even for e-discovery. Right? We have many legal customers that it's very important that they redact sensitive information, right? PII needs to be fully protected, and so we have many capabilities, whether it's within our Phantom PDF editor, which Frank will show. We also have automatic redaction through our server technology, right, based on pattern recognition. And we can also do redaction through an Office plugin that we offer. So it's basically, very, very high performance ways of doing redaction for whatever environment that you're in. Third solution area is citizen engagement and personnel self-service. So whether you're doing things, internally with forms, or you're getting information from your citizens, one way to engage them is through forms, right? So we have the full-blown suite of different forms, whether you're creating it with our design tools and JavaScript, or whether you're publishing it online. We also have a way to transform a lot of the field information into a 2D barcode, right? So we have many successes within tax departments where a lot of people are still filling out information and sending it in. So they fill it out online. They need to sign it. So wherever you need a wet signature, you're still going to need paper. They send that tax document into the taxation revenue service, and then the revenue service basically uses a scan gun for intake. All right, so we've had successes in tax departments as well as hospitals, right? Anything that has to do with intake. And so we have technology built around that. The fourth solution area is around secure collaboration. So this is to protect your documents. So basically it's digital rights management, and it travels with the document. So there's a lot of solutions out there. You might use traditional stacks like SharePoint and EMC. You might have cloud applications, or you might have other cloud platforms such as Box and Dropbox. And the problem is, once those files get sent around and out of those protected environments, then what? Right. So that's when you need the DRM that travels with the files. And it's basically storage agnostic, so it doesn't matter where your file is stored, we can track it. We also have document collaboration, right? So this is similar to Google Docs, where you're collaborating online. You can see changes in real time. So that certainly improves efficiency and productivity. Also, as you're sharing documents, it would be great to see what the reader is doing with your document, right? So here you can see that, who's doing what. Are they copying? Are they printing? You can see here that Shirley shared the file. Somebody protected it with probably RMS. You can see that somebody signed it with DocuSign. So you can get insight, right, into what your reader is doing. So this is important as you're trying to optimize your document, and also for security. Here's a list of all the tracked events, and you can see there's just lots of stuff that we can track, and this is very important, right? As you send out information, you can make it available on the internet, and now you can just see what your users are doing with it. The sixth solution is around security. So we have a full suite of security features here with 256-bit encryption, SSL, FIPS 140-2, and also we have private on-prem deployments of our cloud offering. This is the cloud offering that tracks your documents. Many government agencies need to know their data resides on U.S. soil, so we have that capability. And we also have a whole suite of administration controls for different permissions, for different access controls of those documents. And then mobile, right? Mobile is very important. So we have solutions, whether it's scanning, whether it's editing, whether you're actually collaborating with your mobile device, whether you're looking at large engineering documents on a transportation department might be out on the road looking at engineering documentation. You can all do that through your mobile device using our products. And of course, with our compression technology, that helps minimize the speed and download of a lot of those files. And the last solution here is accessibility. So I know a lot of you are interested in this, especially with the 508 refresh. And we do have a whole accessibility features that are built into not only PhantomPDF, which Frank will show a little bit of, but also we have automatic auto tagging through our backend server products. So if you have mass quantities of documents, you can get those auto tagged, and that'll get you 80% there, and then you do the last touch-ups with Phantom. So Frank will show you a little bit about what we can do with our Phantom products. Okay, so basically we have one platform, and we have everything from building it, reviewing it, publishing it, then you archive it, compress it, and archive it. You share it, you send it out, right? You need secure collaboration when you share it. You want to optimize it, right? So you want to see what your readers are doing with it, and then you may have to edit. We have to edit it again, so it goes around into a circle. Basically, it's one integrated, unified platform. Okay, and with that, I'm going to pass it to Frank, who will do a demo.
Okay, thanks, Dee Dee. So what we wanted to do in the demo is to show you PhantomPDF, which is our PDF editor, kind of the flagship product of the company. And we wanted to go over some of the common workflows that we've seen from our government customers. Okay, so now I got the show my screen button, and hopefully everybody is seeing my screen. Yes, it looks like you are. Okay, so this is PhantomPDF. So before we jump into the workflows, a little bit of understanding of how this works and how to navigate through it. And so hopefully the top of the application is a little bit familiar to you. It's built on the Microsoft Office toolbar ribbon. And we did that because most of our customers are Microsoft Office users. So this provides a very familiar user interface to them. For those of you who are not familiar with this, basically the toolbar takes the functionality of the program and creates, as you can see, graphic icons that you can click in order to take advantage of the features of the product. And we kind of organize them into different tabs. So the Home tab is some of the most frequently used ones. And some of the other ones that we'll talk about today, so here's our editing capabilities. Then we'll go into accessibility. Then we'll go into protection for a little bit. And then we'll head back to organize, okay? And so actually this is configurable if you want to customize your ribbon to put different functions in different tabs. But typically this is how we organize it and how most people would like to work with it. So one of the, I should say, the most frequently used workflow that all of our customers, whether they be government organizations or enterprises, use in a PDF editor is the edit capability. And in the past, editing a PDF has been difficult. And I would say even today, most PDF editors, which is a category of product, really to me are more touch-up tools than they are editors, right? Because there's only so much you can do there. So let me give you an example. So here I have a Social Security, a Medicare document here, and I'm going to hit Edit Text. And you can see what most editors will do is they'll discover the different what we call text boxes, which, as you can see, are in these kind of gray boxes. And then you can go in and edit text. Okay, sounds good. But if I go in and add something to this paragraph here, what you'll see is that just the text box just grows, And in this case, it overlays the footer, or in other cases, it'll overlay the paragraph underneath, or the image, or whatever you have underneath it. And so that's not really very helpful now, is it, right? So that's why I'm saying it's really touch up. You can go in and fix a typo, add a comma, things like that. But you can't really do some heavy editing without going to different people in the organization, right? So you as a knowledge worker, or else you're really trained in a lot of other software programs, you can only really do some light touch-up. And so what we at Foxit wanted to do is empower the knowledge worker to be able to go in and do a lot more than just a little touch-up, okay? And so we created kind of powerful word processor-like capabilities within Foxit. So in this case right here, you see I have 2 paragraphs. And if I need to add to a column, sorry, if I need to add a paragraph to this first column, I don't want it to overwrite the footer, which we just saw. I really want this text to reflow into the second column, right? That's what I want to happen. And so how do I get that to happen? And so within the edit capabilities, I will hit the link and join text button. And here I'll say, okay, here's the first text box, and I want it to reflow into the second. And if there's a third and a fourth, I can keep on specifying that. And so now after I identify the reflow, I hit link. And so now you see it gets labeled 1 of 1 and 1 of 2. And so now if I hit close from here and go back into edit, you'll see the box isn't gray anymore, it's orange. That signifies that things are linked together. And so now if I go into here and add, so I can add some new content here. As you can see, everything is underlined because I'm having trouble spelling today. So that's my spell checker. If I add some new content here, and let me expand this, new content, you will see that the content reflowed from the first paragraph to the second paragraph, right? So now here is my Medicare information, right? It's in the second paragraph. I mean the second column, excuse me. And so now I can do more, powerful type of stuff. So now that I added my new content, I can change the font if I want. I can change the font size. Let me choose this because this font is a little bit too big. So let me go down to 11. Probably not big enough. Let me go back to 12. Okay, this looks right. I can make it bold, italics, underline it. I can cross it out. I could do superscripts, subscripts. I could change the color. I can change the paragraph to make it centered or left justified, or take up the whole column, or left justified. I can do indents. I can change the line spacing if I want to. All these things that are kind of word processor like, I can do right in my PDF software. And so I can do it myself as the knowledge worker. The same thing works in reverse. If I wanted to delete, say, this bullet right here, I can hit delete, and now you see that the reflow went into the opposite direction. Right, so I don't have a big hole in my document where otherwise I would have if I couldn't link these multiple text boxes together. Okay, and so now again, this greatly enhances the productivity of the knowledge worker, where they can go in and do meaningful edits themselves. Also, I can do things like changing the layout, and you can see this paragraph right here. If I put my cursor over the line, I can now move this if I want to. I can also change the size of it if I get this signal here, and so that'll also help me with the layout of the text. Obviously, if I increase margins, the text goes shorter, and obviously decrease margins, the text will go longer. Okay, and so here I can really do a lot to update the document. What I have here in another document, I want to add some text to this third column of the first page, And so I want it to reflow to the first column in the second page. Let me just kind of zoom out a little bit so you can see here. And so again, I've already linked the two paragraphs together. You can see they're both orange. And so what I'm showing you here is that the reflow can go across pages. So if I want to add a new sentence here, you see that things reflowed to the next page. Sometimes there's some hard-coded carriage returns, as you see right here. And so I can just go in and delete those, and then the text reflows as I would like it to. And so not only can I do things like multiple columns or from one text box in a page to the one underneath it, I can also cross pages as well. So one more example of this. Here I have what we call an object. It's a table, but in PDF world, it's an object. And I want to be able to obviously move this object because I want to add another paragraph to this text up here, right? So how do I do that? So you can actually edit objects as well, and here's one example. So what I'll do is go into Edit Object, and I'll say All. And what I will do is just select this entire table, and then drag and drop it down. Okay, maybe a little bit too far down. Whoops, there we go. And now I can go into Edit Text and add additional information to this text box above me. Okay, and as I said before, if you spell something wrong, it'll underline it for you in red, and you can even hit the spell checking button up at the top in order to get those identified, and you can right mouse click and it'll help you with the correct spelling. Okay, so again, if you need to edit your document, you know, linking and joining text is a very powerful thing for you to do if you have to do more than just a touch-up. And actually, it'll allow you to add bullets in as well. Okay, so not just straight text, but formatted text as well. Okay, so that's kind of some areas of editing where people have trouble with in PDF. So I wanted to go over that. The second thing that we see primarily in our government customers as well as our education organizations is now the need for producing accessible documents. And so I'm just going to close these real quick to get them out of the way. I don't want to save those. No. Okay, so here we have actually a PDF, a guide to creating accessible PDFs, and we'll kind of use this PDF to talk about accessibility. So now I want to go over to the Accessibility tab and click on that. And so the first thing that you might want to do if the document is not accessible, currently has not been tagged, you want to go in and click the Auto Tag button right here, which will, as the little help says, auto text tags in your document. And then after you do that, you might want to do what we call a full check. And so I'll click on that now. I have options of what I want to check. I hit Start Checking, and then it gives me an accessibility check. And so after I do the auto tag, or I you know, convert something from Word, for example, that had tags in it, I want to go back and say, all right, does everything pass you know, muster? Okay, and so here I can expand these things right here and understand if there's any mistakes that it detected. Okay, and so, you know, if I click on where's a good thing to click on? Okay, so here I have Figure 2 is an issue. I click on that, and here this thing is highlighted that says I don't have any alternate text here. That check failed, so you might want to go in and do some alternate text. And so here's the Set Alternate Text button. And so I can go into the document and set the alternate text for this particular image or diagram. Okay, so the other thing that I can do here, I can click this button and I can see the reading order. And so here it is right here. And so again, I can go down and understand exactly what the reading order is. And if I want to make any change from that, I go into my content. I want to make this a little bit bigger. I can go into my content, and then here I can just drag and drop. Let me find something good to drag and drop. Something easy for you to see. I can just drag and drop any of the elements here and change the order of it. Okay, so lots of different expansions and contractions here. And so I can do that out of my content tab. Okay, so that's a brief view of accessibility. If you'd like to know more, next month in our series of webinars and demonstrations, we will have something specific on accessibility that will go into a lot more detail that I showed you right here. And also it will go through our full solution, which not only includes the PDF editor, where you can go in and edit and touch up accessibility tagging, but also our server product, where if you need to kind of auto tag large numbers of documents, there's a product in there for you to do that, and then you might want to go into Phantom afterwards and check it and make sure everything has been completed to your satisfaction. Okay, so that's accessibility in a nutshell. Like I said, next month we'll have more detail in a webinar specific to how to set up accessible documents. Okay, so another commonly used workflow that we see in our government customers, especially involving the Freedom of Information Act, is redaction. We have that also outside of government organizations, although that's very industry specific, where people want to redact. So I'm going to close this document right here. And now we're going into a document. Actually, it's the Freedom of Information Act guide for law enforcement, and talk about redaction. So redaction is part of the Protect tab. And so lots of different things we have in here, but over on the left-hand side, sorry, we have our section on redaction. So first I'll start with something simple, just to make sure everyone understands. There's a difference between redaction and just drawing a black box in the comment section over some text. So the black rectangle, or whatever you want to do here, is not very secure. Actually, it's very insecure. Even if you flatten the file afterwards, not very secure. So you really do want to go into the redaction section if you have secure information where you want to share the document but redact certain information in it. Really use redaction. Don't try to put in a black box and flatten it later. And so here is our Mark for Redaction button right here. And so I'm just going to go into text and images now. It gives me some instructions here. I can click Don't Show Again in the future after I learn how to do this. And then you see the cursor changes to a little target, cross. And that tells me to basically draw a box. And so I want to redact this particular paragraph right here. I can actually right mouse click here and get properties. If I want to get fancy here, I can restricted area, I can change the color. I can put some text in there that says redacted information. A lot of different options that I have here. But for now, let's just use the black box. And so after I signal this, I want to hit the reply action. And again, it comes up again. Sure, you want to do that. Again, I can hit the don't ask again. But once you redact the information, it's permanently redacted, right? You can't get it back. So I said, okay. and now you see that that information is redacted. I know it looks like a black box, but it's very different from putting a black box in the comment section or the black box annotation. This will permanently delete or redact the information, and no matter how smart someone is, they're not going to be able to go in and see what has been redacted. Now, that's a very simple way of doing it. We also have a search and redact capability, okay, where you can go in and search on any specific phrase that you want to redact, and so put in a phrase right here, and then hit the search button. Okay, and you can have match any of the words or the exact phrase. Something else I want to show you is basically pattern recognition here. And so select your pattern. And so if you want to just redact all phone numbers or dates or social security, email, credit card numbers, things of that nature, PhantomPDF will look for patterns that match what you have selected here, and then redact those. And again, it'll bring you through those. And if you're in different regions, could different regions have different phone numbers, for example, you can select your region. And for here, I'm choosing the United States. And so search and redact, again, very good way to go through a lot of common things where you're redacting the same information over and over again, whether it's a specific term or a specific pattern, like I said, like a credit card number, like a phone number, things of that nature. Okay, so that's kind of redaction at a high level. And so I'll exit out of this file right now and hit no, I don't want to save this. So now I'm going to open two other files that are more relevant to our next step, which is organized files. And whether you're in government, education, or in the private sector, again, organize, in addition to edit, two of the most used workflows that we have. So I'm going to put in a document here from the Human Rights Council, and this is the majority of the document here, and then I have in a separate file is the appendix. And so, okay, I have that in two files. And so a common workflow is I want to combine pages from multiple files together into a single file. Okay, again, very highly used workflow. How do I do that? Now, people have tried to export and cut and paste and do a lot of different things. Yes, those will work for you, but certainly not the most efficient way to get there, right? So let's look to see how we can do that a lot easier. And so I want to insert page into my main document, but before I do that, one of the things that, again, get people in trouble a lot, here we have the Human Rights Council as a header. Over here, I have a different header, okay? And so if I try to mix headers together, a lot of people get headers on top of each other, or being an old baseball guy, I usually like to call it the double header. And so you want to, before you put the merge the documents together, you want to take care of all the things like headers and footers and things like that that will overlap each other first. Okay, so the first thing I would want to do in this document is delete this header if this is the header that I want to use for the combined document. So all your other documents, I go into the organize section, I go into header and footer, okay, and I say remove all. And I say yes, and the headers are removed. Now sometimes you're going to say, you know what, I've done something like that, it didn't work that easily. And so I'll show you something else after this to help you with that problem and tell you why you get that problem. But from now, I remove the header in this document. Okay, so now we're ready to move over to this document. And so I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of this document. By the way, I'm in view page thumbnail mode, right? And so I click this button right here, and it's kind of like the, think of it as like the slide sorter in PowerPoint. So I want to obviously put the appendix at the end. And so I'm going to select all the files that I want to move over. Okay, and then I'm going to drag and drop them, okay, over to the new file. So I select them, I drag and drop it over to the tab of the new one, and so you see I moved different PDF files, and then I'm going to drag it to the bottom and let go with a cursor, and now I have the appendix at the bottom of my original document. Okay, so just a simple drag and drop. I could also do the same thing actually from my desktop if I wanted to as well. Okay, and so I can drag and drop whole files from my desktop as well. But I brought it into the application because first thing I had to do was get rid of that header. Okay, so now that header is gone, but I have a blank header. And so how do I put the new header, Human Rights Council, on my appendix? So again, for the new file, I go into header and footer and I hit update. Okay, so this is how I put the header and footer in the first place. But what I want to do is select page range options that says all pages, because now I have some new ones that don't have that header. So all pages, I hit OK, and then I hit OK for my update. And now it goes through and puts the header on each of the new pages that I put in, which is my appendix. Okay, so very simple, easy to do way to merge files from multiple PDF documents, pages from multiple PDF files into a single document. Okay, so I mentioned before that sometimes getting rid of that header and footer isn't so easy to do. And there's two reasons for that. One is it's a scanned document, okay, and the other is it's a poorly formed PDF. So one of the things we always tell people, no matter what PDF you use, is always don't do like a save as in your original application, save as a PDF, because yeah, it'll give you the PDF, but usually isn't set up very well. Always use your PDF editor software, you know, to create your PDFs, because it's a lot more well structured. And so when you want to go in and edit it and change it and and so forth, it'll be a lot easier for you, where you can just delete the header and footer like I showed you. So let me give you an example. Okay, that's not possible because it's a scanned document. And so let me get rid of the appendix here, and I'm going to not save this document, but put it back in. So now we have the same document without the appendix on the bottom. And so, but I have the appendix now as a scan. Okay, so you see these documents right here. Those are the 7 pages of the appendix that have been scanned in. And so I can go into convert and scan directly through the, oh, I'm sorry, it's in the right over here from scanner. If the scan documents, if I have access to a scanner, I can use this to scan it. But a lot of times it's already scanned and given to us, and so here are the images that we've gotten from the scanner. And so what I want to do is go in and convert again, and I'm going to go from scanner. Oops, sorry, wrong thing there. I want to go into organize, and I want to insert. Actually, I don't want to do that. Let's do a more difficult workflow. Where I go from files and I want to create PDFs from all those scanned images. So I want to go create PDF from multiple files. And so here I can put in all the files that I want to convert over, because I have these images, right? They're not PDF, they're images. And so I can use the browser, the regular file format here, but I can just, I like to drag and drop. And so I'm going to drag and drop all my scanned images. So you can see they're JPEGs, and I'm going to put those in the list right here, and I'm going to put them in the right order, and so I don't have to reorder them afterwards. And here I go. Okay, so now I got all my JPEGs here. I don't want to put them in individual files. I want to merge them into a single file, and I hit convert. All right, so now I got my new document here, and here is my scanned documents. As you can see, I have the appendix here. And if I go into organize and I try to remove the header and footer, again, remove all, it's going to say you don't have a header and footer, okay? And that's the reason, because in the scanned document, it looks at that as just text. It doesn't look at it as a header, for one. And two, this is just an image, okay? So when you scan documents, all you get is an image. It's like taking a picture on your phone. You can't, you know, it's an image, and no software will recognize the words in an image. And so your next step has to be to go back to convert, and then you do something called OCR. So convert text within images, let's go back to that again, to searchable or editable text. So basically what OCR does, it stands for optical character recognition. It'll search for the image and find letters, words, sentences, paragraphs, etc., and convert them to text, okay? Because right now it's just an image. So again, if I try to select anything here, I get nothing, right? Because it's just an image. So let me go back to OCR. Let me do the current file. Has to be saved first, and so I'll hit OK. It'll ask me to save it, so let me put it on my desktop. And let me call this appendix and hit save. And now it starts the OCR process. So I want to do all pages. I want to check to make sure it discovered the language correctly. It did English. And then I hit OK. Now it's going through the process of understanding all the text in the document. You also see that it'll clean it up a little bit when it's done. So as you see in the bottom on page 4, 5, 6, 7. Boom, I'm done now. And so now if I try to select text, I can select the text, right? I can cut and paste this text. I can edit the text. Okay, so now I can manipulate the file. So if I go back into organize, I'm still not going to be able to, it won't identify the header and footer, right? Because this isn't a well-formed PDF. So what do? This is what I hear from most people. It doesn't recognize it as a header. How do I get rid of it? So let's go into edit. You can go in and edit and backspace and just delete this. That'll work, although it takes too much time. So a little bit of pro tip, go into edit object, okay, and hit text. Okay, now I can just draw a box around it and hit the delete button. Okay, and so I can go to every page and do that. Boom. Delete. Delete. And so forth. Okay, so now that we got rid of all those, we can now do the drag and drop back into the body of the document, right? So let me go here. I'm at the end. Let me go into the thumbnail view, select the first, shift, select the last, drag and drop it, then place it at the end. And now I have the appendix at the end of the main body. Okay, we still have the same issue in that the appendix there's no longer doesn't have the original header, and so I can go into organize, header and footer, update, page range options, all pages, hit OK, and now I have the header on these pages of the scanned document. Okay, I can search through this, I can edit it, I can cut and paste. Now these scanned images are just like any other page of the document. Okay, so one last thing that we'll show you here. We're running out of time, and so I'm going to open up a different file. Okay, and so a lot of questions about bookmarks, okay? And so here you see if I have my bookmarks here, and again, bookmark, I can see the bookmarks by hitting this icon right here on the left-hand side. As you can see, I have 1, I have 2, then I have 4. So what happened to 3? Okay, somehow bookmark for 3 didn't get made. So I'm going to click on 2, okay, and I want this to be on 2 because the next time I add a bookmark, it's going to place it underneath 2. I scroll down to look at where 3 is. Okay, here's 3. I select it. Okay, very easy. I go into edit. I hit bookmark. And there it is. Okay, I can go and edit the bookmark text if I want, but you know, I usually want to keep it where that document is. And again, I went under 2 because I originally was on 2 before. And so now it's just like any other bookmark. And I click on it, and there I go. Okay, so very quick and easy to add bookmarks. Then one last thing a lot of people ask about is hyperlinks. Okay, and so 2 things to say. One, if you're just adding a URL like www.foxitsoftware.com, you add that text, or it gets you either add it yourself, or it was in the original document, like the Word document, and you convert it over to PDF. Though if it's a URL, the link will go with it. Okay, so you're good to go. However, if you want to hyperlink, okay, then you're going to have to go in and do some work. Okay, so let's just show you how to do that right now. And so I am going to, let me open my browser here, and I'm going to go to foxitsoftware.com. So let me just cut and paste our URL right here, and let me get rid of that. And so I want to hyperlink this court to Foxit's homepage. So how do I do that? So one of the things about PDF is a little confusing, and this is all PDF, is you don't really hyperlink to text, you hyperlink to an area, okay? And so that's where it gets people confused. And so let me hit link, and I'm going to draw a box around this court. And I'm going to make the thickness 0, okay, because I don't really want to show the box, right? So I make the thickness 0. Oops, I want to cancel first. Why? Because I missed a step. So I first want to go into edit, okay, edit text. I want to select this text right here, and I want to go into color, and I want to make it blue, and I want to underline it. Whoops. I want to underline it. Okay, so now it looks like a link, right? So now I want to go back, get out of edit mode, go into link, and draw a box around it. And again, I want the box, oops, I made the box too big there. Let me go back. I want the box to be thickness of 0 because I don't want to see the box, okay? And I want to select open a web link, okay? I hit next, I put in my URL, I hit OK, right? And I get out of edit mode. The box is gone. It looks like a link, right? And so I go over it and click, and there's my hyperlink. Okay, so little pro tip to remember. Again, this is all PDF, works this way. If I go in and edit it or change it, I have to move that little box to go along with wherever the text is that I want to hyperlink, okay? Because you're actually hyperlinking to an area, not specific text. So I know that's a little confusing, but if you do it this way, it works real well, and your end users will understand when they see the blue and the underline, they'll understand, oh, that's hyperlinked text, so I can click on that. As you can see, the cursor changes when I go over the hyperlinked text as opposed to the other text in the document. Okay, so that is the demonstration of some commonly tricky workflows that a lot of our customers sometimes struggle with, and so we wanted to share that with you today. And so I'll move control of the webinar back over to Dee Dee. So back to you, Dee Dee.
Okay, great. Thanks, Frank. Yeah, you see that the power of our PhantomPDF editor is very useful, specifically around courts. A lot of e-filing is done with PDF editing, and so they have issues with bookmarking and redaction and things. So we showed you a lot of features there. But yeah, thanks for that. Also, I wanted to point out that there is at the end of the session we will be showing a survey, so you can checkbox future webinars that you'd like to see. In addition, I would encourage you to go to our website to look at additional tutorials that'll also show you many other of the powerful features within Phantom. Okay, so did you give me control? Presenter. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'm just going to wrap it up here, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. For those of you that don't know us, we have been around for more than 15 years in the market with our various products, but we really did, as I mentioned, we started out in the SDK business, embedded in Google Chrome Docs, Google Docs, Gmail, etc. We also have open source PDF freemium, Chromium partnership with Google, and also we have lots of other customers that have embedded our technology, such as NASDAQ, Home Depot, Evernote, etc. Also, we're available on other PC platforms, HP, Lenovo, Acer, etc. Our technology is also embedded in scanners. So if you have a Panasonic scanner, we have integration there, and also some enterprise content management systems such as OpenText, EMC Documentum. So we have over 1 billion people using our technology today. You can see here that we are a global company with engineers all over the world. And we are considered number 2 behind Adobe. And people come to us for many reasons, but a lot of it is around cost and also user interface, and then some of the other more advanced features that we have within our portfolio. Here is just some of the government customers that we have. And you'll see that we're successful in court systems, as I mentioned, but many other departments as well, including like tax departments, reforms. That's also a strength of ours as well. And we have lots and lots of other customers in many other industries. Okay, so how can you get started? I would encourage you to go to our website. It has a description of all the solutions that we have for government, and also again, as I mentioned at the end of this session, there will be some questions that survey that'll pop up. So I would encourage you to stick around, and you can request white papers as well as give us feedback on other things you'd like to see in the future. And then you should go and try it yourself, right? There's a 14-day free evaluation trial available. We will be at this National Laboratories Information Technology Show in May. So if you're around, this is the Department of Justice lab show that we will be sponsoring, and so we'll be at that show. And also next month we have a full webinar dedicated towards accessibility. So save the date for that. Okay, and with that, there are quite a few questions here. So let's see, will this presentation be provided? Yes, we will make the recording and presentation available to those who have attended. Let's see, there's a question here about integration with SharePoint, like OneDrive, and other content management systems. Frank, can you address that question?
Sure. So many popular systems we do integrate with. For example, eDocs, NetDocuments, SharePoint, OneDrive, both personal and business, Google Drive, Dropbox, Box, iManage. And so those are some examples of what we can integrate with. Kind of more the cloud storage products like Box and Dropbox, you can obviously open and close and edit and so forth and save. For the bigger content management systems like an iManage or an eDocs, we have a little bit more integration where you can not only just open and close, but you can check in and check out.
Okay, great, thanks. Let's see, I have time for one more question. So, but I encourage you to all stick around and answer the survey for us because we would really like to improve on the next session. There's just one more question here about adding watermarks and templates to the, for example, company submittal stamps. Is that available in Phantom?
Sure. So in one of the tabs that we didn't get to called comment, which is basically annotations, that's where you can put in stamps. We provide some stamps out of the box. You can create or import your own as well if you have different stamps. But things like watermarks, backgrounds, Bates numbers, as well as headers and footers, which we looked at about a little bit in this demo, is also in the Organize tab, and they work very similarly to the headers and footers, which I showed you before. You just click on the button, it gives you a menu of like what's the text of the watermark. It allows you to edit it, change the font, change the size, the position, etc. And so full capabilities for all those type of things.
Okay, great. Thanks, Frank. So I'm sorry I ran out of time here, but we will get back to each and every one of you. There are quite a few questions here that we didn't get to, but we will definitely get back to you. Please stick around at the end of the survey, at the end of the session, to help us improve on for next time. And with that, I'd like to thank you all for attending today's session. Also wanted to thank Frank for your outstanding job in demoing the product. And with that, thanks for having us and enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye, everyone.